Hello, everyone. I'm back again. Judy Jandora here. And I am coming on today because one of the viewers um, has asked me a couple of questions and wanted me to address a couple of his questions in these videos. And I thought it was a wonderful idea. And I encourage anyone who has anything that they'd like me to explore on video, I'd be happy to. Again, this is from my perspective and my perspective only. I think it's incredibly important, especially now, to take anything that anybody else says almost with a grain of salt. If it feels good to you, take that in. If it doesn't feel good, let it go. Move on. Look for your answers. Anywhere you can, mostly inside yourself. Almost always inside yourself. But if you're going to look outside yourself for the answers, and you need a little bit of a boost, or you need some concepts to play with, that you can take into yourself and decide whether they feel right. Please do so. But also, don't take anybody's word for whatever it might be, because your answers are always best come to through your inner being, because your inner being is connected with your higher self. Still would like to find a better word for that. I'm always trying to find a better word for that, but basically the more expanded portion of you, which is vast beyond comprehension. You are so much. You are angels, you are gods, you are space beings, God, you play every role that you could possibly imagine. You're brilliant. And down here we're playing in this experience of being what we're not, so that we can really learn who we are from a different perspective and play the game. The game is part of it. So anyway, let me get back to these questions. There are two of them. One of them is, how do I love myself? And, what a phenomenal question. I mean, it's a brilliant question. And, a lot of people are really having a very difficult time truly loving themselves. And, God, I get it. I spent years and years and years, most of my life, not really loving myself. And, I still have things to uncover to get even clearer with loving myself fully. But some of the notes that I made, I'm going to go over those and maybe, get a little closer and hopefully be helpful in helping this gentleman and anybody else who may be interested in these questions. Maybe get a little bit closer to the answers for themselves. One of the things that I think is really important right now for everybody is to really spend time with yourself in quiet, solemn space. There's deconstruction that has to go on right now. We have to deconstruct our past. Most of us have been raised in families that were raised in families that were raised in families that taught them that they were not so worthy. It's been part of the process that we created to be what we were not. And what we are not is, what we are is love. Everything else is fear, or what fear is based on. And those things are, what generation after generation after generation have handed down, believing them to be the only truth. For the most part, really believing that was the only truth. You had to toe the line, you had to fit in a box, you had to fit in every possible circumstance within, a very small set of parameters to be accepted, to be valued, and to feel loved. And so I would say that the most important thing you can do right now, the most important energetic time you can spend with yourself, is to start taking a look at how things were as you were growing up, and taking those thought forms and realizing, looking at them for what they truly are. It's not like your parents or their parents or their parents wanted to do this necessarily. They didn't know any different. There was a very, very strict structure of how things worked and how things were valued, through those generations. Thank goodness we're not in that anymore, and we are deconstructing this through love, through acceptance. And that's what love is to me. At the very core of it all, love means accepting what is, including yourself, just the way it is. And I know that sounds a little counterintuitive, but it actually works. As you accept what is for what it is, you take away the sting, you take away the charge that you have, the electrical charge that you have with that particular thing. You accept it, you neutralize it, and then it can be transformed into something that is more of an asset to you, an ally, than it was, before, which would have been, something that was hindering you and, harming you. So, one of the things that we were told was to be extremely humble and self-effacing. Now, humble, the way that it was used, is not the way that I think of humble now. The way that it was used for us was basically sit back, shut up, don't say anything, act like you're not bright, act like you're not great, act like you're not all that. And if something comes out, make fun of yourself, be very self-effacing. Well, humor is a great thing no matter what, but, when we make ourselves small to make others feel better about themselves, nobody is served by this. Not at all. The next thing is, don't speak unless spoken to. Many of you, including myself, experienced that. Well, what does that do? That makes you feel like you have no power in any circumstance. If you can't speak what it is you're feeling, then it gets stuffed inside of you. You feel powerless. You feel like you can't, you don't have any voice to speak what you believe, what you feel, what you need. And that is incredibly destructive to the inner self, or to the little child inside of you. It's very difficult. I remember this well. It's very, very difficult to be shushed and pushed back and told to shut up, and and we'll get into the next one, which has a lot of this is kind of on the same, very similar wavelength. One is, let me see, adults know better. Same kind of thing, They're like, I do what I say because I say so. Because I'm the adult, you're a child, you don't know anything, I know everything. If you knew what I knew, then, you wouldn't be asking me. You're in my face, get out of my face, you're bothering me. And, all of that, all of those energetics being thrown at you, and I call them energetics instead of, other ways of looking at it, because kind of everything breaks down to energetics, and everything is energy, and negative energy can be thrown at you, and you take it in like it's yours because, hey, they're your parents, or your grandparents, or your teachers, or the minister, or the Sunday school teacher, the rabbi, the adults at the store, it can go on and on and on. It's everywhere, There's this hierarchy set up for, for that long period of time where most children, were really not seen or heard or respected or understood, or empowered. And that's very damaging. Another thing is let me see, if you don't do as I say, then I'm going to punish you. Um, so, and a lot of times, too, that goes along with the next one, which is, when you do something really good, whether it's in school or at home or at church or whatever, you toe the line and you do what they tell you, no matter how it feels inside of you. They're like, oh, yay, you did it. We're so proud of you. I love you. Thank you for doing that, that kind of thing. And then when you do something that is against that, that is more, coming from what's been pent up most likely, because that's where, when you get shoved down over and over and over again, when things finally break free, and they do, and they will, in many, many different ways, hence, teenage years and early adults, and sometimes all the way into the rest of a person's life, all that got pushed back and got ignored and got suppressed comes out in ways that is, very damaging. But most people, nobody talked about this stuff. Even the field of psychology is messed up in so many ways. So, it's now being talked about, but it hadn't been until this era that we're in right now. And, when you're shown that when you toe the line, no matter what you feel inside yourself, that is love, that people will love you and respect you, or at least love you, tell you that they love you, which is not love. That is not acceptance. That is manipulation to get you to do more of what they want. Rather than, allowing a child to be themselves, to have an opinion, to ask questions, and to express themselves freely. It really causes a lot of problems, but our society is not structured for that. Schools are not structured. Schools are not structured for that. Learning institutions of all kinds are really not structured for that. Maybe a little bit more into the college age years. I don't know, because I didn't go. I was not interested. I could not wait to get out of high school. And, pretty much everywhere you go, when you're told that your voice is not valued, your opinion is not valued, that you have to have an age status or a monetary status, or, a visual status. You either have to look good, drive the right car, do the right sports, be in the right circles, all of that kind of thing. That's all false. It's always been false. But it was a structure that we set up. So we really have to be very, very careful to realize that all of this was experience. We came here to experience all kinds of things. The painful stuff, to actually experience feeling like you're not loved. The truth is that is what you're made of. You literally, every cell in your body and microscopically on, infinitum, you are love and nothing but love. But being loved forever and knowing that forever and, hanging out with other love, probably gets a little bit boring. I think that's probably why we created this three-dimensional reality, this particular one, to do this. We wanted to find out what it was like to live in a situation, in many, many, many situations, and not feel being loved. And so we create all of these situations that are not love to see what it feels like, to see what it, to touch, to feel, to fight, to make love, to break up, to, to ride a horse, to get hurt, to have accidents, to dance, and to taste amazing foods and taste nasty ass foods. I mean, every single possible anything. I mean, any possible situation that you can imagine has been done by you on some level. Whether it's you in this life, parallel lives, what they call past, future you in other embodiments. I mean, we're doing this because we wanted to, because we knew that it was important to do this and to bring all that we learned through this back into the creation um, that we created as source. And still as source, we're now waking up from that, and we're wanting to feel that love again. We're wanting to dissolve the structure that we had created because it's just gotten a little out of hand. um, and I know that that's a little bit of an understatement. But you know what? We knew what we were doing when we did this, and we knew that it would come to this, and we knew that we were going to be asking these questions. Another thing that's really important is when you go into that quiet space to ask those questions of yourself. Many times we're told to ask our higher being, ask our guides, ask the angels. Well, realize those are not other than you. They're other facets of you. You literally do exist with that kind of grand, amazing knowingness, beingness. That is you. So tap into that other part of you, those other parts of you, and listen quietly. Listen closely. Trust what comes in when you hear it. And you'll be amazed at the information that will come through, and the clarity of the information, and the feeling within inside of yourself when it comes through. You'll know when it's true, because it sits within you like a still pond. It just feels like home. And typically it's when we look outside of ourselves for the answers, and somebody tells us, oh, maybe you should do this, and maybe you should do that, and you should do this. And if it feels inside of you, everything creates a feeling inside of you, because it's part of your energetic body. Is the emotional body is always giving you clues as to what's going on. So if something feels negative inside of you, definitely don't push that out. Grab hold of that and say, what are you trying to show me? Where am I off the mark? And that's what sin means, by the way. Sin doesn't mean you're a hideous person and you shouldn't be doing it. It just means you're off the mark. You're out of the vortex. You're not in your integrity. You are experiencing something. You've created a situation that you're allowing yourself to experience what you're not. And now is the time for us to start paying attention and start really putting our focus on hitting the mark through the love that we are, through the acceptance of ourselves. And the acceptance of ourselves is letting go of those stories that haven't been true. The whole structure. I know it sounds like it's, overwhelming to even think about doing something like that, but you know what? It's not. It's not. You knew what you were doing when you came in here. You knew that there would be a time that you were going to be letting go, dismantling the old system so that you could shine through that. You already are pure shining love. The system literally that we created has been putting on these big heavy cloaks, and we're taking them off one by one, and each one of those structures that is the lie is what we're taking off right now, and we're also trained to look at lies and people that tell us lies and do things to us, in a negative way. We're taught to hate them and fear them or want to punish them. That's still that old system. That's what happened to us. We can't get out of it by doing the same thing. We literally have to get out of it by loving it and being grateful for the lessons, because that's what we came here for. And to be grateful for those lessons and to disconnect the energetic charge between you and them by understanding what they really are. So, loving yourself is realizing that you are love, that you already are that. It's not something that you have to or need to bring into yourself or to learn about. All you're doing is uncovering the true you. And this is the perfect time to do that. So that's what I would say about the first question, which is, how do I love myself? If you want more clarification, please be specific about what it is that you want, and I will explore that with you. And if anybody wants to come on here with me in a conversation so that it might bring more out, let's do it. Um, Hopefully I'll remember to tell you about the show that I'm doing tonight, and it will be ongoing each Tuesday evening, so far as I know, 7:30 p.m. on Eastern Standard Time, and it's Enjoy the Show, but on Google Hangouts. So we'll be able to share time together, space together, visually, and explore these issues. The second question now is how to make sure that things I do are not wrong and will not hurt me in the future. Well, a lot of what I just said really kind of speaks to that. If it feels, if what you're thinking of doing, or you did, or whatever, feels like it's got that constriction inside of your body, pay attention. There's something off. And what might be off is not necessarily what you're doing, but the thought forms that you're holding on to that were given to you as a child, or even later on, but mostly as a child. The thought forms, those words and edicts that were given to us by our parents and by our teachers and preachers and whoever else out there, that whatever other kind of systems that you were exposed to in your childhood. All of those words that were said over and over and over again: good boys don't do that, good girls don't do this. If you do that, then you're, or if you're not this, if you don't have the right car, if you don't say the right thing, if you don't dress the right way, if you don't do the things that make me comfortable with my life, then you're not right. But they all create this feeling inside of your body. Just make sure that it's not, that if you're doing something that you feel is right, but you're tapping back into that thought stream of other people telling you their value system of what's right and wrong, then that could be where the feeling is coming from, and that most likely is what needs to be taken, looked at and then released, as I spoke of earlier. So it really all comes down to if you're doing something through the energetics of love, which is acceptance, which is doing something that is in the good of all beings. And many times that means doing something that is in your best interest. And I don't mean your best interest as far as, I got to get me some of this and I've got to have that and I need, whatever. It really is what is in the best interest of your soul. What's in the best interest of your evolution, your heart evolution, your beingness evolution. You'll know if it feels right or not. And if it does, no matter what anybody else says, follow your heart. Do what it is that you know to be best. Because when you do that, you're going to find that everything else will fall into place. The more you're convinced of your own truth, the more you're going to find others are going to stop challenging you on it. If you find that you are not completely convinced, then you're going to find other people challenging you, because we live in a mirroring world. Smoke and mirrors. So you've got the smoke screen, which was the whole past, which is one big huge smoke screen, and then you've got the mirrors everywhere. You've got the mirrors of people that are showing you what it is you believe to be true. Whether it's in your consciousness, in your daily consciousness, or if it's hidden down deep inside of you, whatever it is that you believe about yourself is going to be shown to you and give you the opportunity to change your beliefs, change your thoughts about what it is you believe. And the minute you change it, it's going to start opening up for you. It might challenge you at different directions because you may still be holding on to bits and pieces of it. And that's okay too. Just notice it. Don't get all charged up with it. Thank it for offering the lesson, the opportunity for clearing. Release it. And I do have a video that I made about releasing. I think it's under something like releasing the pain body. And that talks, I have some a particular way of doing it that really works well for me. You're welcome to go check that out as well. But I would say that that's a big part of it. I did make some notes here. I need to check to see if I'm missing anything. When you do anything through fear, you run great risk of causing more of what fear is made of. Pretty much gathered that. And remember, everything is an experience. So, you know, the whole sin thing, being off the mark. Look, most of our lives were being off the mark, but that's what we came here to do. You know, we came here to be off the mark, to finally get back into beyond the mark, get it back into the vortex, get back into our heart space. Because when you take, your mind out of the hamster wheel that's just constantly spinning with other people's shit, and you just get it really quiet, and then when a situation happens, you take your mind down through your heart, and you feel that space of allowance and acceptance, and say, what feels best for me, and move through that. And when, even if it doesn't happen, and you make that, miss the mark thing, however many times, it doesn't even matter. Don't bash yourself about it. Don't get on your own case. It just isn't helpful. It's actually detrimental, and will continue the story the more that you don't accept yourself, don't love yourself. Loving yourself is treating yourself with kindness. It's treating yourself with acceptance. It's not going back into your past and rehashing all the things you did wrong. Not a good thing. Not worthwhile. Not worth doing at all. It really does you no good whatsoever. Even though that's what we've been taught to do, it's not a positive direction at all. You are brand new in every moment, and in every moment you can create. But when you're spending your time thinking about what you did wrong, you are creating from those thought forms into your future. Don't even spend any time there. Spend time loving yourself, accepting yourself, being kind to yourself, saying, what are we going to do to enjoy this life? The more that you can find yourself in joy and in love, being like a child, playing in this, I just think this planet that we're on is just gorgeous. Playing in this planet and with other beings, other facets of you out there, also playing in the game of being off the mark and trying to get back on. The more you can mirror that, the you holding your own space and really holding your space of knowing who you are, you're going to start seeing everybody else is going to start mirroring it for you, bit by bit, until it gets to the point where your whole life looks completely different than it did before. And I can attest to that, because that's what I've been going through, all of my life, and it's just getting more and more and more so every single day, and exponentially so. So, and we're in a time right now where the energies on the planet itself and within each one of us are really supporting us. And from where I am right now, the view is just beautiful. I know that there's all kinds of chaos back there somewhere. Things are breaking down. There's all kinds of stories you can buy into, and you can get all, caught up in the death and destruction and who's doing what to who, and all of that stuff. But as for me, it just doesn't serve me, so I don't pay attention to it. It's back there somewhere, but it doesn't really affect me. Anyway, so let's see if I got anything else here. Acceptance, yeah. Listen within, that's really, really huge. Ask your higher self. I went into that as well. So it looks like I've really covered what I wanted to cover within this particular video, and I hope this helps you. If you have any more questions, if any of you have any questions and you want me to address them, you want to come on with me and address them, that's cool too. Come join me tonight for the show. That would have been Tuesday in case you're watching this later. It'd be every Tuesday. Look on my Facebook page, Judy Jandora. I think it's Judy Vansel Jandora on Facebook. I'll be posting the links to the Google Hangouts on Google+, and would love to have you join us. So, yeah, I think I still have to do it. I love you. I am you. You are me. We are one. And we are free. We are. We're amazing. Have a beautiful day. Bye now.